You're so beautiful. Who hit me? It was an accident. I was actually learning to. I was actually learning how to golf, and I was standing behind my cousin, and and he actually swung the golf. What's it called? Club. He swung the golf club back and actually hit me in the mouth. And for a very long time, I could not. You could barely understand me. Like, literally, like, it sounded like I was saying nothing. Hey, Diamond Royce, girl. I love Diamond Royce. She supports me. She is like one of my biggest snobs, and I love her so much. But anyway, I couldn't speak. The fourth grade was very hard for me. I really couldn't speak. I don't know who's at my freaking door. Who is it? I couldn't speak, and I couldn't speak. So I used to couldn't say the word. I can barely say it now. I couldn't say the word Pacific, like Pacific Ocean. It took me a very, very long time to learn how to say Pacific. So, but I figured the shit out. People are saying, "Hey, Nikki." She's not paying us any attention. But I want to talk about. This is what I want to talk about. I really want to talk about. Like, I get so many emails and DMs from about like people like not knowing where to start or what to do, or they can't see you.
I don't want to see you. I just wanted to say hi back.
Oh, Nikki says hi back. Where to start and what to do. A lot of people are like DMing me and texting me and telling me that they feel stuck. I know where my lashes. I'm dry faced. I'm dry faced and bald eyed. But where to start? And I kind of like just, you know what I mean. My biggest thing is like I'm kind of like an advocate of the Nike slogan, kind of like just do it. I always tell people like you literally start with what you have and where you're at. And saying that just means that, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, the biggest mistake or misconception you could ever have is, you know what I mean, comparing yourself to somebody else's success or somebody else's journey. Like, you know what I mean, you look and be like, oh, she started her company 6 months ago and she's doing really good. Like, that's the biggest thing you can do, because now you set yourself boundaries, you set yourself limitations, you set yourself a timeline. And the problem with that is setting yourself a timeline based off of somebody else's journey is the biggest and the most easiest way for you to feel like you failed. Because once you set your standards or your journey and model against somebody else's and it doesn't happen, so say like you saying like, oh, she started her hair company 6 months ago and is doing really good, and you start your hair company and in 6 months it's not doing good, you feel like you failed. And that's not true. And I feel like a lot of people look at others and put that in their mind, like, you know what I mean, oh, it took off, but you don't know why it took off. You don't even understand, you know what I mean, what she did, what she didn't post and did in the background, or how she got started, or it may have just been her fate. So I always tell people, like, you can't measure, you know what I mean, your success off of somebody else's timeline. You have to create your own timeline. You have to create your own steps, and everybody's steps and journey is completely different. Like, what works for me will not work for you, and vice versa. What works for you may not work for me, and that's I guess that's like the beauty of being an individual, and that's really important to me. It's really important that, I always tell people, like, having fear is maybe the biggest hurdle that somebody has to get over. And when I say fear, I mean, um, if you have fear of something, the littlest thing can deter you from your end goal. Like, if you have fear, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have fear that it won't work, as soon as something goes wrong, you'll start to believe that little voice in your head. So that's why they say speak what you want into existence, because what you truly speak into existence truly can manifest, because you put all of your energy into it. And I always tell people, like, the movie that changed my life was The Secret. Like, The Secret literally changed my life. And if you've ever watched The Secret and it didn't change your life, I suggest highly that you go rewatch it. Like, it's all about manifestation and believing it and speaking it into the existence. Like, I believe in God, and I believe anything that I ask for, He will give me if it's right for me. So, like, I believe that I just speak it into existence, and I believe that it's going to happen. And you'll be so surprised. Once you start to believe that something is going to happen, you'll be so surprised at how everything starts to fall in place, and how, you know what I mean, what didn't fall in place. It's so crazy that I have so many things that I don't understand, and sometimes I'll be like, why me, and how come everything is going wrong at once? And I'd be like, damn, like, like, sometimes I'd be like crying, like, I've done everything right. Have you ever done everything right and then shit work out? Me too. Like, sometimes I've done everything right. I've done every possible step. I follow the directions down to a fucking T. Like, a T. Like, I'm talking about, if they tell me to go left one half of a step, I went left one half of a step, and the shit still didn't work out. And I couldn't understand it. And I was just like, like, this, I don't understand how I could do exactly what I'm told to do, and I follow the steps exactly how I'm supposed to follow them, and it still doesn't work out. And that's because if that happened, my real purpose in life couldn't. And so sometimes things that you want to happen don't happen, so the things that's supposed to happen can happen. And it took me a long, long, long time to understand that. It took me a long, long time to understand that sometimes when things are going wrong, it's just so it's preparing you for things to go right. And I understand that, you know what I mean, the best thing a person can have in life is patience. And just being patient, and knowing that, you know what I mean, it's gonna come. Like, you know what I mean, it's gonna come. It's in the Bible, ask and you shall receive. So it's just actually just being patient and waiting and having the faith. And some, you know what I mean, and everybody's process is different. You know what I mean, everybody's journey is different, and understanding that is almost half the battle. Like, you're almost there if you understand that, you know what I mean, everybody's journey and process is different, and just being patient for your time, and you'll be surprised. And I just wanted to really share that, because I understand, like, sometimes, like, I read people emails, and they tell me, like, oh my God, I just love you, I just, you know what I mean, one day I'm gonna be you. And some of the days I read this shit, and I be like, I feel like I'm drowning. Like, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm stagnant. I feel like, damn. And then I realized, like, like, I just gotta keep pushing, 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 gotta keep pushing till there's nothing else to push for. And so that's what I wanted to share. And I just wanted to, if it's anybody watching this that actually thought about giving up today, like I really think that that's a bad idea. And I think that today is the day that you step out on faith and move forward with your plans and make a list. I always tell people to make a list. Like, make a list of what you want. And how I do it is, it's very simple how I come up with my idea. So in the middle, I do it kind of like, you do it in second grade. I know. I put my goal in the middle of the piece of paper, and then I make little air bubbles of everything that I need to do to reach it, and then I slowly but surely work towards each one, because everything is a process, and everything is not, nothing really happens overnight, and if it does, it's the exception to the rule, and you can't bank on your business being the exception to the rule. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if a girl blew up overnight, you know what I mean? Her business blew up overnight. That's the exception to the rule. That's not how it actually goes. That's not how it goes. You know what I mean? So don't bank on, you can never bank on being the exception of the rule. You can bank on that putting in hard work and working through the process, success will come. You can definitely bank on that. You can't bank on being the exception to the rule. You can't bank on being an overnight success story. You know what I mean? Like, anything worth having is worth working for. Most things that come when you work really, really hard for has a foundation. Most things that you work really, really hard for has integrity. Most things that you work really, really hard for is built to last. So I think people need to realize that. People need to realize that. And I think we as people need to just stop making excuses, stop procrastinating. Like I said in my video that I posted, let today be the last day that you say you'll do it tomorrow. Because, sometimes tomorrow turns until May, June, July, August, September. Next thing you know, we're clearly inside of 2018, and you're still talking about tomorrow. So let's not talk about tomorrow. Let's do it today. Let's start today. And let's not make excuses. Let's not say, oh, I work all day, or, oh, I do. Like, I hate excuses, because I'll find a loophole in your excuse, guarantee you. I had somebody tell me that, okay, so I'm going to tell a quick story. So I had somebody tell me that she was like, oh, my mom has cancer. I don't know how it's going to go. And she was like, if something was to ever happen to her, I'm going to be homeless. So I was like, dang, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was very heartfelt. I was very remorseful, everything. So as the day went on, so I was like, I'm trying to help her come up with plans and stuff like that. So maybe 4 hours later, I see her, we're still at my aunt's house, and I see her, and I see her eyes are really, 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 really low. So I'm like, hey, I'm like, you was smoking weed? And she was like, yeah, you want some? I'm like, nah, I don't smoke. So I was like, nah. I'm like, how often do you smoke? She was like, a couple times a day. I'm like, oh, wow, you smoke every single day? She was like, yeah, Cuddy, I gotta smoke because I have to smoke to, shit crazy. I'm like, oh, where you buy your weed from? She told me, and I had to stop her right there, and I was just saying, you can't afford to have that habit. You need to leave that habit alone so you could prepare for the worst situation. Weed is kind of expensive. You know what I mean? I'm like, weed is kind of expensive. So, I don't know. I guess, you buy about a $20 or something. So, if you smoking 4 blunts a day or 3 blunts a day, that's at least $20 a day. I don't know. Maybe $20 a day. $20 a day times 30 days is what, y'all? How much is that? That's $600. And how many blunts could you get out of $20? Two. So you can smoke 2 blunts a day at $600 a month, right? So I'm like, you're basically wasting $600 at least a month, and you could be saving that money in case something actually happens. And so I was just trying to help her, put her in that mindset. And she thanked me, and she was just like, okay, I completely understand what you're saying. She was like, I never really thought about it that way. And I was just like, yeah, like you have to, like, sometimes you have to live like you don't want to live like most can't. Like sometimes you have to sacrifice some stuff. So some things have to be sacrificed. Times however many days you buy it. So that was just like my story. And I'm not a person of excuses. Like I feel like having excuses just kind of like it sets you back. Like as long as it took you to come up with the excuse, you could have came up with a plan. Like you could have came up with a plan. As long as you took to like come up with an excuse, you could have come up with a plan. And I always tell people, like, when you backed up into a corner, it's not time to throw a pity party. It's not time to be the victim. It's time to come up with a fucking plan. Like it's time to come up with a plan and start, you know what I mean, working ourselves out of this corner. It's not time to fold. Like we don't fold. It's time to we gotta come up with a plan. It's time to plan. It's time to put your big girl panties on. That's what I call them. And it's time to fight through it. It's time to like most people are their strongest when they're at their lowest. So it's not time to just fold and submit. It's time to fucking, it's wartime. It's time to suit up and boot up. It's time to fucking figure this shit out. And that's the great, and that's just how I think. Now maybe I think fucked up. You know, like maybe I don't know. But that's just how I think. Like it, people are like, it's not just that easy. I said it's to me it's that easy. You decide that you don't want to live like this. You come up with a plan and you start to execute it. It's easy to me. You know what I mean? It's that easy. You know what I mean? No, not all plans work out in the best. So if that doesn't work out, we come up with another plan. You know what I mean? That is one of these. This is how I feel. One of these plans has to work, flat out. You know what I mean? The first 1900 might not work out. 1901 might work out. I went to get a job at 42 different salons. I was told no. The 43rd salon hired me. If I would have gave up at my 40th salon, I would not be where I am today. Flat out. Flat out. So it's just about literally coming up with a plan and figuring out the best way to execute the plan. But I'm done preaching. I am about to cook breakfast. I will answer some questions, and I'm actually going to save this live and post it on my YouTube. So if you guys have missed this live, then it will be on my YouTube. I'm about to try to figure out how to do that now. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. What am I cooking? Eggs and turkey sausage. And what? Okay, well, it was amazing, and I love you guys. And if you want to watch this whole live in entirety, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. My YouTube name is actually in my bio, along with all my other social medias. So again, I love you guys, and bye bye.